it is often the case that I will haul a book and then it will vanish into the collection, never to be seen again. Well, I mean, not never, but it needs to wait its turn in line for the TBR. And that doesn't mean that I'm still not excited to read these, it's just I haven't quite gotten to them yet. But I'm still excited. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always, I am Andrew. Today I have got a top 10 list of books that are gone, but not forgotten. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, these are the 10 books that I just kind of look at them constantly on the shelf going, I'm excited to read that. I just don't know when I'm going to get to it. But before we get into all of this, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help the channel grow. And you can check the description box down below for information about the Discord, Patreon, social media links, all that stuff, and my Pango books. But without any further ado, let's jump right on into this with a pretty heavy hitter. And we've got Mark Lawrence, The Girl in the Stars. This is Book of the Ice, book number 1. And I believe this is set on the same world as Book of the Ancestor, which I read pre-booktube. I had discovered Daniel Green and stuff like that. And I was very early on in me hopping full on back into fantasy. I was reading about 40, 50 books a year. Nowhere near as much as I read now. And I was just this seems to be a pretty acclaimed series. And then as a gift, my buddy Tiago Abdallah gifted these to me when my son was born. And they've just been kind of sitting there on the shelf. I've got all 3 in hardcover. All 3 are gorgeous. I know nothing about them other than the fact that I enjoyed my experience with Book of the Ancestor. And I have been meaning to get back to this Mark Lawrence. I just don't know why I quite haven't yet. But I think I can coerce my good friend Tiago Abdallah, who is a huge fan of Mark Lawrence, to buddy read these with me. So that may be coming up here soon. Probably either near the beginning of next year or towards the end of this year. Because, I live in Indiana and it gets kind of cold. So Book of the Ice, cold, I don't know. I'm reaching here. I'm reaching! Alright, scratch the head, put the hat back on, and talk about the second one, which is the KDJ series by Chris Wooding. And this is Retribution Falls, which is the first book in the series. And I've had these on the shelf for quite literally 2 years now. And I bought this because I was like, oh, I love the Ember Blade, which is Chris Wooding. And I was like, oh, he's got another series, and it's steampunk? Heck yeah! Well, guess what? It's been 2 years now, but I am doing a reread of the Ember Blade currently, and then I'm going to be reading The Shadow Casket, which is book 2, which could reignite the fire to read the KDJ books. I've heard great things if you like steampunk, that this is one that you have to check out. So yeah, we've got KDJ at the number 2 spot. Now, this isn't a ranked list or anything, but I'm just talking about 10 books / series. Anyway, I bought this one about 3 or 4 months ago. We've got Empire of Exiles by Aaron M. Evans. And, okay, the series name, Books of the Usurper, number 1, Empire of Exiles. A gorgeous spine. B, a gorgeous cover, kind of done in that first law style. And C, you gotta listen to this. A scribe, a mage, an archivist, and an investigator. 4 unlikely heroes. A secret threatening an empire. That just sounds intriguing. This came out on my radar because of my buddy Alan, and he had gotten an arc about it, and he was like, oh, it was really good. And I was like, that sounds really good. 23 years ago, a duke with a grudge led a ruthless coup against his empire, killing of thousands. He failed. The duke was executed, and a terrifyingly powerful sorcerer was imprisoned, and an unwilling princess disappeared. The empire moved on. That just sounds so good. And yeah, I need to find time. I've got all these books in my collection that I'm super excited for. And I'm like, man, I can't wait to read it. And then the months turn into years, and the years turn into eons, and I never get to them. So hopefully here soon. Next up, my buddy Jordan reads books Middle of Nowhere. You should check out his channel. Fantastic. Pretty much got the same exact taste in self-pub as I do. I think we've disagreed on a book since we've started talking. So yeah, we've got The Stardust Thief by Chelsea Abdullah that he recommended to me. And I was told this is an Arabian Nights style type of thing. It's Middle Eastern fantasy, which when is done right is chef's kiss. So good. So I was excited when he was like, yeah, dude, it slaps. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll check it out. And now that book 2 is getting ready to drop, I don't know, is this going to be a trilogy? I don't know. Hey, can we just talk about the icon, the logo for this series? Like, look at this. That is schmexy. That is gorgeous. That is beautiful. I love that thing. The Sansi trilogy, book number 1. The production value, Orbit, you killed it. Neither here nor there, but long ago. It just sounds so good, and it looks gorgeous, and it calls to me from the shelf, read me, and I'm not going to. Well, no, I will, but it's going to take a minute. This one, I just found out because I dropped a review recently of The Captain, which you can check up right there, and basically I said, here there be space wizards on the thumbnail, and someone was like, hey, that reminds me of the Salvagers trilogy by Alex White. That's this one right here, a big ship at the edge of the universe. I got this on my shelf probably 2 years ago, which is too long ago. But the person in the comments was like, yeah, that's sci-fi, and they've got wizards on their spaceships as well. And that took it from here on my TBR all the way to here. Like, this one is very high on the TBR now, and I can't quite restrain my enthusiasm and my want to read this one because it's just, I've been looking at this like, I heard like Firefly vibes, a gripping quest among salvage and magic. I really loved it. I mean, it's just like right here from Nicholas Eames. Do you miss Firefly or do you want it back? Well, sorry, not gonna happen. But this book is getting damn close. Now, Nicholas Eames, I think you're slightly incorrect because I think there's a Firefly reboot in the works, but I could be wrong about that. But this should be close to scratching that itch that I've been missing. Anyway, I don't know why I'm so hyper today. I've reached into the depths and pulled out the old Andrew who was just too high on energy, had maybe one too many cups of coffee. Oddly enough, I've only had half a cup of coffee today. Next up, we've got The Immortality Thief by Taron Hunt. And this is my Goldsboro edition. A really weird, odd-sized hardcover. But we're not here to talk about the actual physical edition, although if we're going to talk about the physical edition, I could brag about the sprayed edge. This one sounds really good. Now, I've heard a couple people DNF this one, but I remain enthusiastic because Eternal Life is out there. And I've actually read the first couple of pages. I really jive with the writing style and the prose. And this one sounded so interesting that, like, before I knew there was a special edition of this one, I had already added it to my wish list. And then I signed up for GSFF, which is Goldsboro adult, like, science fiction thing. Anyway, I was excited that, like, this was, like, the first one I get. Far off the edge of human existence, beside a dying star, lies a nameless ship, abandoned and hidden, lost for a millennium. But there are secrets, terrible secrets, that would change the fate of humanity. And eventually, someone will come looking. Ooh-wee! Oh, it sounds so good. I have no idea when I'm going to get to this. But someday, it shall be read. Then we have got The Pariah by Anthony Ryan. And this is the Covenant of Steel #1. I also have The Martyr on the shelf, and The Traitor comes out in like a month. I just finished Draconis Memoria. And I believe I actually bought this first before I got Draconis Memoria, or I got them at, like, around the same time. Draconis Memoria took me 2 years to read, and I mostly enjoyed that one. I also really enjoyed Raven Shadow. I really enjoyed that one. And Anthony Ryan, after I'm done with this trilogy, I'll have read 9 books by Anthony Ryan, and that just excites me. I mean, like, the cover is what initially pulled me in. He's just kind of sitting there, arm across the sword. I wish I'd... You know, when you're like, I was like, I should have grabbed my Sting and then, like, done the pose, and that'd have been so cool to record on camera. But I didn't do that. But yes, this one, I love Anthony Ryan. I think he's so cool, and he's a really, really good writer. Now, this one I actually have planned to read at the end of the year with Alan from the Library of Alexandria. This is the Engineer trilogy, and book 1 is Desires and Devices and Desires. I flipped them. Reverse that. Anyway, by KJ Parker or Tom Holt. And this is the biggest in the trilogy, so the first book is huge. But, like, this is going to be my third KJ Parker book, probably, unless I can get to the, like, Siege book #2, which follows a completely different POV, so I'm not, like, super excited, but I really enjoyed 16 Ways to Defend a Walled City. and Folding Knife that I've read by KJ Parker. And this one is supposed to be really dark, really messed up. I've heard interesting things about the Engineer trilogy that it may not be for everybody. Hey, KJ Parker is not for everybody. Like, he writes in such a way and about certain themes that are just super interesting, but like not everybody's going to want to know about how like to run an empire via banking, or what like an engineer colonel does to defend a city about like as a second-class citizen, and he like rises up to anyway, yeah, it's really niche stuff, but like it's really cool. So we've got that one, niche, not niche, niche stuff. Anyway, we've then got Age of Ash, Kithamar, #1 by Daniel Abraham. Now, I have read 4 of the Expanse books, and I've read LPQ, and I much prefer LPQ. And so this one is something that I've been super excited about ever since I heard about it. I've got a signed hardcover of it, and book 2 is getting ready to come out. And yet I have no idea when I'm going to get to Age of Ash. My buddy Nico has already read this one. I'm jealous. I wish I could like find the time for it, but every age must come to an end, and every life tells a story. The fate of the world is woven from them all. That's Kithamar. And yeah, from when I pick up and reach for a Daniel Abraham book, I am not expecting anything close to The Expanse. I usually expect something closer to LPQ or something in the middle of the two. And Age of Ash is something that I can't quite wait to get to, despite the fact that I have no immediate plans to put it on my TBR. So yeah, I'm just blowing hot air here. But the last one was recommended to me by the man, the myth, the legend, Stephen Aryan. And this is Dawn Thief, Chronicles of the Raven by James Barclay. And if you notice right here, right there, that is a David Gemmell cover blurb. And that fills me with excitement, because basically, Stephen was just like, hey, if you like David Gemmell, you should definitely check out James Barclay. He was like David Gemmell knew him and respected him, and it's just like, this is like a company of elves or something like that. Isolated, betrayed, and facing the end. The Raven, 6 men and an elf, swords for hire in the wars that have torn apart, I can't say that, Blaya. For years, the loyalty has been only to themselves and their code. So this is like a company of mercenaries. I've got 6 books right here that have been sitting in frame in all of my videos for over a year, and I need to get to these. They look like pretty quick reads, and yet, I've even got other stuff by James Barclay just because of Stephen's recommendation. These are books that I need to get to. Now, we are all mostly rabid book collectors, and I know we collect a lot of stuff. I know I'm using we. You may be better off and more responsible than I am. You probably are, but yeah, these are stuff that, I need to get to. Let me know some series that have been staring at you from your shelves that you're starting to feel a little bad that you haven't gotten to them yet. Let me know in the comments down below, because I'd love to hear from you. That's all I've really got for you today. And as always, till next time, peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.